النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The Sheikh as usual starting by asking Allah Azza wa Jal to accept from us and making a dua. May Allah accept from us. Ameen. 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 We have started a topic today at Fajr time about astrology and all the knowledge, everything that's associated with this, from the failed trials of the humans and knowing the unknown, to know what's going to happen, or to find some of the unseen through these means that Allah Azza wa Jal did not made it a way to know the unseen. And we have promised this morning that we're going to talk about this topic in details, inshallah. And from the things that are wonder that the humans to know or to discover the unseen through ignorant ways that not only go to the old, it's not only on the old civilization, but even in the best civilization that you see nowadays, that you find this going on. And this even extend to the political, to the highest political areas, where you find kings, they have their own astrologers, and people who in their private scenes they have their own people who read their palms, and people who are liars, and they probably have influence on these kings and these rulers, where they dictate the policy of that country or that. So no matter how civilized that country or that is, you will find that people are talking about palm reading, and you find a big sign with attractive lights, and you find luxury cars that stopping into these places, and you wonder, are we really in this live in this century? Are we still really civilized, and we still think of this hallucination? And after people got to the science where they could break the atom, but look after this and see about our lectures. How did Islam looked into this in a different way? First of all, the unseen. No one know in the heavens or else except Allah. No one know the unseen except Allah. This is the simple, basic belief in Allah, that Allah is the one who knows everything. And then when they're going to resurrect, Allah is the one who knows the unseen. He do not show his unseen to anyone, except whomever he has accepted from a messenger. Then he will put barriers from all around him to protect him. And Allah, he has the keys of unseen. No one knows it except him, and he knows what's in the sea and the heavens, and nothing falls down. He knows it. You read this recitation very quickly, and you wonder sometimes in the fall season, when the leaves falls, Allah says, and no leaf will fall, and he is all in his knowledge, and no seed will fall down in the ground, whether it is still fresh or dry. And Luqman said to his son, "Oh my son, if it is an atom weight of or a small seed, even if it is hiding inside a rock, solid rock, Allah will bring it out. It is Allah, the Almighty." No one knows the unseen except Allah. This is from the basics of belief in Allah and belief in Islam. Of course, there is the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, whomever went to an astronomer or someone, a bomb raider, and he believed in what he's saying, he had disbelief of what came in Muhammad ﷺ. Why? Where did they disbelieve? Because what came to Muhammad ﷺ, and Allah said that Allah descended on Muhammad ﷺ, that no one knows the unseen except Allah. So if somebody believes something else, then he had disbelieved what descended on Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also another hadith is not among us is the one who had tatayyur, or who used magic, or believed magic, or went to an astronomer and believed in what he said. He had disbelieved in what Allah had descended on Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, there is another hadith: whomever went to an astronomer and he believed in what he is saying, or he had sex with a woman who has her period, and the intercourse is what is forbidden during the intercourse, or he did have anal sex with his wife, because Allah said you could do anyway, except as long as in one place, not in the other, the place where the child come from. So whomever does it, he is not from what descended on Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the hadith that we have mentioned today at Fajr, the beautiful hadith of Muawiyah ibn al-Hakam, he said, while I'm praying with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, someone sneezed, and I said, Yarhamkum Allah. So people looked at me and they said, what? Why you're looking at me like this? What happened? Someone sneezed, and I said, Yarhamkum Allah. Why you looking at me strange like this? So they kept hitting their thighs with their hands. So when they were trying to make me quiet, so I got quiet. So when the Prophet ﷺ finished his prayers, there is no teacher better than him, no one before him nor after him. Wallahi, he didn't say nothing to me, he didn't yell at me, nor did he hit me. He said, this prayers, nothing is allowed from the people saying, it is the praising, the glorifying of Allah and reciting of the Quran. And Mu'awiyah said, oh Rasulullah, I'm a new age in Islam. And that explains why he did not know that you're not supposed to talk during the Salah. Because this is what came later. In the beginning, people can talk during the prayers. But then Allah Azza wa Jal has brought something different. And Allah forbidden from talking during the Salah. The Kahin is the one who pretends that he knows the unseen, who claims that he knows what's in the future. So he don't come to me. He said, don't come to them. And he said, some people might feel pessimistic. You can't stop that, but don't let this stop you from something that is good. To have a feeling that you are pessimistic about something, that's no problem. Like you saw a scroll or something make you pessimistic? No, you should not. Said, from us is people who make lines in the sand. a prophet used to put a line in the sand. Whomever did the same is different. But we'll talk about this. But this is what is authenticated on the saying of the Prophet ﷺ. And by the way, there used to be some people who they are very honorable people, whether at the time of the ignorance before Islam or after Islam. They used to they never did any of this kind of action of like one poet, the Sheikh is reciting his poetry about being an old. He did not care about the pessimistic of people, the pessimism of people, or the way that they feel when they're about to do something, whether they feel good or bad. At that time, they used to take like a rock and they hit a bird. If he went to the right, then he said, "Okay, I'm going to win." If he went to the left, if the bird flew to the left, then he will not do his whatever he intended to do. Or if he looked in the heaven and he saw any bird going to the right, he'll be pessimistic. But if it is on the left, he'll be pessimistic and he will stop going out of the house. This chaos, this is an action of corrupted people. Another person, he's saying something nice. And he said, by Allah, none of the stone hitting, nor the flying of the birds, nor any animal could change what Allah is making. There is locks to the unseen, and Allah has the keys to all the unseen, and there are 5. You know what? The last part of Luqman, Allah has the knowledge of the hour, and He descend the rain, and He knows what's in the wombs of the woman, and no one knows what they're going to gain tomorrow, and no one knows where they're going to die. These are the 5 keys that only Allah has. So going to any of those people who claim the known of the unseen, someone maybe he will go, he just want to go and see, and he no intention, he just wanted to watch. This he's going to be sinned. Because when someone said, the Prophet ﷺ, some of us go to the astrologers, and he said don't go to them. The second type, and this person who accept his this who believe in what these people are saying, his prayers will not be accepted. So anyone who goes and asks him about something of the unseen, Allah promised not to even accept from him. This is just to ask, not to believe. And we talk about the rule. What does that mean? That means he's not going to get the reward from Allah. It is in this life, it is, he cannot repeat it, but he don't get the blessing from it from Allah. He don't see the benefit from it. The third type, the person who goes to the astrologers and he ask him and he believe him. and you find a lot of rulers, princes and kings, that they have those beasts or priests who claim to know the unknown, and they're all liars who always try to manipulate these kings and rulers. And this is disbelief in what came on Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No one knows the unseen except Allah. So all those, and there's a fourth type, the one who goes to those to show that they are false. The one who goes there to show that they're liars, to warn people about their falsehood, their tricks, and he is going to be rewarded for it. In the hadith that is authenticated, the Prophet ﷺ asked Ibn Sayyad, and he said, "What did I prepare for you?" He said, "Dukh." He said, "You don't know your area. You are from the brothers of Ibn Sayyad." This is something that's disputed. Is he a Muslim, non-Muslim? Is the Dajjal? We could talk about this later on, but I want to highlight on this person of one of his news from Salah ibn Abdullah, that Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, he told him that Umar went with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in an area close to Ibn Sayyad, and they saw him playing with the kids to one of the castles of Bani Qila'a, and he was a teenager, so he did not know until the Prophet ﷺ hit him with his hand. He said, "Do you testify that I'm Messenger of Allah?" So he looked at him. He said, "I believe you are the messenger of the illiterate," only to the Arabs. And that's why a lot of people think that he is a Jew. So Ibn Sayyad said, "Do you testify that I am Prophet of Allah?" He refused. He said, alayhi salatu wasalam, "I believe in Allah and His messengers." He said, "What do you see?" He said, "I get two people, one liar, one truthful." He said, "You are confused." Then he said, "I hid something." And he said, "Ad-dukh." Then the Prophet ﷺ, "No, you don't know your status." Then Umar wanted to kill him. He said, "If he is a Dajjal, then he's not. You cannot. And if he was not the Antichrist, then he should not. If you killed him and he is the Dajjal, then you cannot kill him. But there's no way you could do it. And if he is not, then what benefit you get from killing him? Because Allah said there are certain things going to happen before the Dajjal comes out." Ameen. Ameen. So what's the difference between the magician and the priest or the fortune teller? The kahin, the fortune teller or the priest or the palm reader, he claimed that he get news for people. But the magician, he do magic that go to separate between a man and his wife, and he cannot do that except for permission of Allah. So the word Arraf, the fortune tellers, include everything of fortune tellers and palm readers, and all the failed way to know the unseen. Ameen. From the new way of fortune tellers, which is to bring the spirits. What does that mean? It is an act that those who do it, they claim they're bringing the souls of the dead by a way that they have invented. So they ask the news of the deceased of going to hellfire or heaven and other things that they think they know the status of the deceased while they were still alive. Of course, in Islam, to bring the soul of the deceased is not in the capability of any humans, because once the spirit leaves the body, it goes to a different world. It is called al-barzakh. As Allah said, in between the two lives there is a barzakh, there is a separation time. Either it will be in luxury or it will be in punishment. And Allah said that when a person sleeps, Allah holds that soul, and those who Allah decide they're going to wake up, He sent that soul back until a certain time, a certain day. Until that day comes in, none of the angels who are responsible will do anything beside what Allah tells them. So what does this magician do, or this fortune teller does? Well, each person, he has a qareen, someone similar to him from the jinn. So if that magician can bring that person, because he can know to know some of the news during the life of that person, because the jinn, they might tell each other what happened. Forget the internet right now that you can see everything, but in the past it wasn't like this. You might have one of the jinn here, another one in a different place. They could talk to each other, and they could tell him some of the things that happened during the life of that person, that makes you believe that he is talking to the soul of that person. Allah said they are guessing, or they are that people are deceived. They think that these people are telling of the unseen. Or and of the jinns, it could be one of those that went and took like a glance, but then he will have a comet that will follow him, and before the comet hits him and burns him, he could tell his other friend of the jinn. And the jinn, they will always add 100 lies and make a different story. And what you see from reality is that small thing that he learned from what he heard, but then he could ask from the falsehood that he wanted to add. So there is no spirit that people could prepare or bring back from the death. That's for a fact. The only thing could be it's that the person might have a qareen, a jinn, who lived with him, and he knows a lot of details about the life of that person before he died. And he tells his other jinn that the fortune teller might be communicated with. But that's not how you know the unseen. And the people of knowledge, they said that it is forbidden because the shaitan, he's not going to work with you for free. There is a mission for the shaitan that he wants to deceive all of them except the servants of Allah who are pure, who are sincere in their intention to Allah. And this shaitan will not stop until you start doing all the things that's going to take you out of Islam by seeking someone else beside Allah, or slaughter for someone else beside Allah. And sometimes you go to any of these houses of these people, they will find like a cat's head hanging on the door or a dog's head. Sometimes the jinn, they will ask their followers that they're not going to help him unless they do something that is part of shirk, of associating someone else beside Allah, which is to put that dog head or cat head to be slaughtered for the sake of the shaitan. Because Allah said to Muhammad sallallahu, pray to your Lord and slaughter only for Allah. So all these heads and corpses that they slaughter in front of their houses, they are trying to get closer to the shaitan. And before they do that, they take them out of Islam, out of Tawheed. With that, the shaitan can get from his followers whatever he wants to get of deceiving people. The enjoyment of the jinn, that they see that humans worship them, follow them. Allah said in the Quran, there was men from the humans, they used to ask refuge of people from the jinn, and they increased their troubles. Like someone will go to a valley and he will ask to seek refuge from the head of that jinn in that valley. But did he help him? No. He keeps him anxious, afraid. He kept him more in need of him, of the jinn. That's why to ask a creation to help another creations is like a person who is drowning and asking help from someone who is drowning. And at the day of judgment, they will honor themselves, free themselves, distance themselves from those who follow them. And there is a part called Al-Istiqsam bil-Azlam. This is an expression from the Quran. Allah called it fisq, rebellion, meaning, what does it mean? Is the arrows that people used to use, it is a way of asking Allah to help them. You have one from Allah in this dunya, in this religion, that the Prophet ﷺ showed us, which is to have two rak'ahs prayers, and then to make the dua of istikhara, and then you ask Allah with His knowledge to the end of the dua. And the dua of the people of ignorance, which is to have arrows and they shoot them, and they are inside of a bag, and sometimes they have do, don't do, and one is empty. Like we see some people might do their own ruqya, and they might go to someone else. So someone will go, I want to see what do I need, whether I should go in that trip. If he get the arrow that says go, then he will say, oh, go ahead and go. And if it says no, he will not. And they keep repeating this until they could do something, or they will pick up an arrow that's going to say go ahead and do it. So they are like laughing at themselves, they are deceiving themselves with this kind of action. Allah said, if you do this azlam, this is fisq, this is ithm. there is something called al-qur'a, which is to flip a coin, for example. The difference between that and the azlam is to decide what is good and bad by throwing that arrow. And that's the first one. It is to choose which one to do. I mean, the qur'a is to choose. It's not from gambling, because the gambling is wrong, but to find the right is not gambling. And iqsam is to al-qur'a, which is to decide a share that is already exist, and to take the unknown and to clarify the right. But to do the qur'a is to know the unknown. It is from the things that Allah has forbidden. So what about to throw in the sand? And sand is part of that rock. And to know the unknown, this is false. So what is that myth is about the prophet who did the lines on the sand? The Sheikh is saying, anytime you find something that you don't understand, take it back to the scholars so they can teach you what is the meaning, so you don't misunderstand the Sunnah or the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and you will not have a dispute between Allah and His messengers. The known of the the Prophet ﷺ, when he said about the drawing in the line, even though that was something that was done by the myth readers of the Arabs, but one of the prophets, he did it, and he did it with the knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal. He's supported by the unseen that Allah knows, and that's different from people who don't have the knowledge from Allah, the one who has known the unseen. Allah made that sign to Idris as a miracle for him, that Allah inspired to him during that, just like He did to Noah from the flood, that, and also from the missing of the fish as a sign for Musa alayhi salam in Surah Al-Kahf, and victory to Prophet ﷺ that he's going to die. And the other possibility, that whomever did the same thing Idris did, and this is not going to happen, because there is no evidence that the person could do it to what the action of the Prophet that is supported by Allah. And you have put a condition that does not exist. Ameen. The last thing, the hypnosis, because it's narrated, I mean, related to this story. Where does the hypnosis stand in Islam? What is meant by hypnosis? And there's a difference in here because on how you categorize it. Whomever put it as the fortune telling, he definitely forbid it. But whomever put it as the inspiration in science and medicine, then it is allowed. الصوت ليش راح الصوت؟ في عندهم بطاريات الحمد لله. So about hypnosis is different. It depends on how you define it. If you define it with knowing the unseen, it's forbidden. But whomever uses it, the science, then it is allowed. And we have a fatwa for the big muftis in Saudi Arabia, and they were asked, what is where Islam stands on hypnosis? And the answer was, hypnosis, one of the ways of using a jinn on the person who is asleep and give him capable of doing something that he cannot, and he makes the person follow the one who is with him. That the person is using a jinn and use it into the uncapable things, and he uses his inner brain, or he makes him say what he wants him to say. It is shirk because it's seeking some beside Allah beyond the normal things that Allah has made. Now there's another fatwa. It puts the hypnosis in a different definition. It says, when you are using it for curing medicine, it is part of medicine, and I heard it is haram because it's including using jinn, but I read a lot of it, and it's all from medicine that has to do with the psychology of the person. So one of the doctors, knowledgeable doctor, he said then the best description for it is the inspiring hypnosis, and this is different from the hypnosis that try to say the unknown, because no one can know the unknown except Allah. But the inspired hypnosis, it is a known science, and it is known in curing. It has rules and basics, and there is a lot of achievement that happen with it, that is needed to teach the person of the medicine that he used to refuse, and also to have a conviction from the sick person that's going to override his negative feelings. Some practices were mixed or misabused, and this is include the forbidden things, and people used to think that this hypnosis is forbidden, but the forbidden is from the illegal or the wrong using of the hypnosis. But in summary, the inspired hypnosis considered as part of a cure and medicine. It could be used in good or bad. If it is used in good, it is allowed, and it was used in evil, it is not accepted. Because of the time, inshallah, we'll continue on Monday or after the break. Inshallah, with your questions.